Hello there, planet Earth and other
Aliens.
planets. Well, they did have a helicopter on Mars. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
maybe there's triplets there. I don't know.
maybe there's triplets there. Who knows? But this is Triplet Talk, everybody,
Hey, triplet talk.
and this is part 2 of We Just Got a Letter. So we had some dedicated fans, some lovely fans that sent us letters compiled with questions because they figured, hey, you guys don't have any more content. Let's give you more content. So we are turning this into a 3-part series.
Well, it's 2-part.
Well, there's part 1, part 2, but then the third part
Is
is
an episode.
is another episode. So it's a bonus episode. So 3, triple the content, triple the babies,
It's true.
all that good stuff.
Everything has to be 3.
So let's just get started.
Okay.
We have 5 more questions left from the letters. So I'm excited. You should be excited too. So we did the first 5, 1 through 5. So now question number 6. What are each of your parenting styles? So now, let's see. So for each of our parenting styles, this comes from Joanna. Very fun. So I would say that our parenting styles is kind of a blend of parenting styles that we've seen in the past. So, for example, I feel like a lot of the boomers, the baby boomers, our parents' generations, their parents were more distant. They were more, I'm the parent, you're the child, I go over here, you go over there, and there's never a cross in between. You know, I'm working tons of hours, or I'm at home getting things prepared. You guys go play, leave us alone, we'll punish you. So that's kind of how they kind of grew up. And once they had kids, that generation seemed to want to do, and this is a broad brush, they were like, they took care of us, they raised us, but they were so distant and they didn't really build up a relationship. I want to make sure that I'm building a relationship with my kids. And I think what happened was there was a lot of coddling and overprotection. You always hear the phrase helicopter parent, to where anytime the kid has any issues, whatever, the parents zoom in, boom, just like a helicopter, they're coming in, they're going to help with your problems. And, a lot of the negative stereotypes of millennials is, I think, a byproduct of that over coddling, making us less independent and making us just having a hard time coping with things because we're so used to the parent being so involved in every aspect of our lives that it becomes too much and we become dependent on them and stuff like that. Once again, this is all very broad, but with that all in mind, I think Lauren and I both have that kind of style to where we want to be a blend of both, because at one point, we want our children to be independent, and we want them to be able to cope with things by themselves. It does help that there's 3 of them in terms of they have somebody their age that they can spend around time with. But for example, putting them to bed, okay? We have it down to where the child is now able to be in the crib by themselves and not have a panic attack and freak out and cry and scream. Right? We don't have to rock them to sleep anymore. So now they get up, they're like, oh yeah, this is fine. I'll wait until the parents come, and if they don't come too long, then eventually, I'm going to start crying because I want to get out of here. I want to go do fun stuff. Okay. But at the same part, we don't want to be so cold to them that, they'd start developing emotional problems. So we play with the kids, we interact with the kids, we give our kids plenty of affection, and I think that's at least part of me, with the Italian culture, it's very affectionate people, the men and the women, so it wasn't men can't do stuff with the kids, as much, so, giving them hugs, kisses, let them know that they're loved, letting them know that they got a lot of affection, being encouraging, playing with them every once in a while. We want to make sure we do that too. So it's a nice blend between, we're trying to go for a nice blend between making our kids feel independent and having them deal with their own problems to a certain degree, but also giving them the emotional support that they need so that way they know, hey, mom and papa love me. And then I can go off and do whatever I need to do without having the feeling of like they're so disconnected. You're like, did you guys even want to have kids? Like, what's going on here? But also not being so coddling to where it's like, I'm, 40 years old and I don't know how to, fill up my own car with gas by myself because I got to call my mom who's 80 and can't move. Like, stuff like that. Being extreme. Fun. Good question, Joanna. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Okay. Number 7. This one comes from Alicia. How did you and Vince know that you were ready to have children? Basically, my thoughts are if you are ready to get married, your spouse and yourself should have this discussion of, do you want to have children or not? Now, there's a question of, I'm not ready to have children now, or I don't want to have children at all, or I want to have children later, and everything can kind of work in there. But basically, we knew we were ready to have children when we got married. Now, we weren't exactly planning to have children right away, especially with the Zika virus scare, and we went to Jamaica for our honeymoon for a little bit, so we were scared that we might have Zika. But Zika or not, if Lauren got pregnant, our first year of marriage, we would have been ecstatic. I mean, we would have been a little nervous. This is a fun experience. But basically, we were ready to have, in a way, ready to have children. It wasn't necessarily planned, but we were open to it. We were both like, yes, we want to have children one day, and we are going to be open to it. It doesn't mean that the second you get married, you have to be like, all right, let's check your schedule. Let's make sure we're going to do 110%. We're going to try to have a kid right now. It wasn't anything like that. We still wanted to just kind of, enjoy just being married and go through, all the fun things that you do as a married couple. But I do believe that you should be ready to have children if you're ready to get married. Doesn't have to be right now, but down the path. And if you're not, if you're like, well, I don't want to have children at all, not even in the future, then that's definitely something that needs to be discussed and planned with your spouse. And you both have to be like 100% on the same page. Not, well, I'll change his mind later, or I'll convince her not to have any kids. We'll just get a bunch of dogs and salamanders. No. You have to figure that out ASAP. So the question is, how did you and Vince know when you're ready to have children? When we knew we were ready to get married and spend our life together. So there you go. Okay, so this question is number 8. But if you've seen the part 1 of this, which if not, make sure you do that. This is apparently a more improved and more fun version of question number 5. So the question for number 8 is, what was the last piece of advice that you asked a family member for? And this is from Lauren. So, and did I mention number 7 is from Alicia? If I didn't, I may have. I kind of got lost in everything, but thank you, Alicia, for number 7. Now on to number 8 with Lauren. So what was the last piece of advice that I asked? Well, actually, the last piece of advice. So my son, Vincent, he likes to climb on stuff right now, run around, cause chaos and destruction. And so his favorite thing to do is like, he'll just focus on something, like he wants to climb on something, and just not listen to what anyone tells him, because he's like, I want to go do this fun thing. And he hears voices all the time of everyone talking and yelling and stuff. So he doesn't think you're talking about him. Also, we made the mistake of, so my name's Vincent, my kid's named Vincent, and our dog is named Benson, which if you're a toddler or a dog, Benson and Vincent sound almost identical. So when we're yelling for Vincent, my dog Benson comes. When we're yelling at the dog Benson, Vincent doesn't know, like, you talking to me, you talking to the dog, what's going on here? So there's a little confusion there. So I went and I asked my mom about it because I remember that my younger brother, he would get in this habit of just straight up, like, let's say we were at like a theme park, right? He would just kind of go. We're like, okay, everybody stay together. Everybody stay in, the same place. He would just kind of go and just not focus on anyone behind him and just, because he's seen all the cool stuff and he's like, wow, this is great. And he's just kind of just launches, just goes. And so my parents would do this trick where they would they convince all of us to like hide. So then when he would finally stop and like turn around, he'd realize that no one was there and like freak out. But I don't plan on taking my kids to any theme parks anytime soon, at least to the point where they could walk around and be lost. So, but I was asking her about it, and she said, well, maybe you need, try to do like a loud noise, something to kind of catch his interest. Then he'll turn, and then you can tell him what you need to tell him. Get off of this. Don't touch that. Come over here. It's time for lunch, whatever. So we've been kind of doing that, and he's a little on off because he'll hear stuff interesting, or even if you say your name, he will turn around and stuff. But every once in a while, man, he's like, I got to climb Mount Everest, which is the couch and the sofas and all this stuff. And you got to try your best. So I guess that would be the last piece of advice I got for that. If you and Vince had to compare yourselves to TV movie parents, who would it be? This is question number 9 from Stacy with an EY. Now, Stacy with an EY prepared all these letters for us. So props to her for question number 9. This is a fun one. I would say, if I had to compare myself to a TV/movie parent, I'm kind of forgetting the name now, and I apologize, but there was a couple in How I Met Your Mother. So there was the main guy that was, trying to find the love of his life. There was Neil Patrick Harris, which was doing all the cool stuff. There was Robin, who was another girlfriend or whatever. And then there was the couple. I think it was Jason Segel. I think her name was Lily. I'm forgetting the name, but they were two couples that are just very comfortable with each other. They're able to, make each other laugh, have a good time. And they really enjoyed each other's company. And I feel like that's how Lauren and I are. Now, I believe they had kids later on. I'm not sure in the season. So in terms of like parenting styles and stuff like that, I'm not exactly sure. But that's kind of the couple that I usually see myself and Lauren as for TV. Number 10. This is the big one. From Stacy with an EY. Here we go. Number 10. It's a two-parter. What big life event or time in their lives are you most looking forward to watching the triplets experience together? And she even provided examples: high school prom, starting school, etc. She also said, what is the least thing you're looking forward to? She exampled teenagers, driving, etc. So the thing I'm most looking forward to is, at least recently, is the kids getting ready for school. Hopefully by then, once they're of school age, everything will be safe and fun, and they can actually go to a building and see students and be with teachers and all that good stuff. So I'm excited for that. They're going to get their little backpacks. They're going to have their school stuff, have their school lunch. They'll go there. They'll be all nervous and shy, and we're just going to kick them in there and go, see ya. Bye, Felicia. And we'll just peace, and it'll be great. Lauren will cry a lot. And then we'll realize, wait a minute, we can actually I can have time to do work. And she's like, I can go do errands. Wow, this is great. And I'm just so excited, from the time they were just these little, hamster things to now they'll be going to school and they'll have friends and they'll eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and, talk about their favorite shows or cartoons or whatever. I'm excited for that. Very excited for that. I think that's going to be awesome. However, what I am least looking forward to is when they get a little older and they get homework, because teachers are savages. I'm looking at you, Stacy. I know she's a teacher and she gives out way too much homework, I think. I don't know. But these teachers, they give out this homework And then my kids are going to come to me and they're going to say, Papa, we got to do the math homework. And I'll go, okay. I'm thinking, I know some math. I can handle 5th grade math. And we're going to be up till 5 a.m. And I'm going to be screaming. And I'm going to be like, what's going on? It's going to be like that scene in Incredibles 2. I'll be like, math is math. And it's going to be chaotic. I'm not going to like it at all. And I'm going to have to ask my wife for help. And she's like, I don't do math. I'm not good at math. I do graphic design, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to have to deal with this math and trying to teach it to them. And I'm like, well, did you take any notes? Like, we don't take notes. We're in 5th grade. I'm like, well, the book isn't helping me either. What do you want me to do? So it's going to be chaotic. It's not going to be fun. But another thing I'm also looking forward to is when they get a little older, showing them some awesome anime and cartoons and just cool stuff. I can show them Jurassic Park, one of my favorite movies of all time. I can show them this anime I'm watching right now, My Hero Academia. Hopefully that'll be cool back then. Definitely going to be showing them Dragon Ball Z. I mean, come on, guys. Show them Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, all those good stuff. So I'm excited of almost kind of reliving my childhood through fresh eyes, and hopefully at least 1 out of 3 will like that. So looking forward to a lot of stuff. Very excited. Thank you again, everybody, for these questions. These were awesome. Really appreciated it. And I am kind of curious to see what Lauren has to say.
Part 2, guys. We're back. We're back to finish up this letter here. So we just got a letter part 2. So this is questions 6 through 10. I'm just going to jump right in. Let's see. So question 6 says, what are each of your parenting styles? It's tricky because I still feel like we're new parents and it's hard to really lock down a style because babies, now toddlers, are always changing. So I don't know. I feel like I wanted to be somewhere in between, like tough love, where you're being the compassionate, one when it needs to be, but you're also teaching your kids lessons. You're not, babying them so they're, not able to do certain things or they're afraid of certain things. So I wanted to be that, like, in the middle of being like good cop, bad cop, like right in the sweet spot. I don't really know what my parenting style. I like to give my kids as much freedom to learn and discover things on their own, obviously without getting hurt or doing anything, but so that way, I'm not so hovering or helicoptery or anything like that. So I like to kind of give them space there. But I'm definitely one to jump right in if they get hurt or if they're crying, to definitely comfort. But I can tell the difference between, when they're crying because something hurts or if they're crying to get attention. So I like to differentiate that. So if it's an attention thing, I like to kind of let them settle down on their own and, try to work it out if they can, just because they are getting older. And I think that's an important skill that, kids need to learn. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. So if I had to like sum up what it is, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like in between. I'm an in-betweener. That's what I want to say. That's what I'm going to leave it. I'm an in-betweener. So that question was from Joanna. In-betweener. Yeah. All right. Question 7. How did you and Vince know you were ready to have children? So we knew that we didn't want to have kids like right away. I know a lot of people, either you're kind of the people that want to have kids right when you get married, or you're a couple that decides, we want to wait. We want to be married a little bit. We want to enjoy married life. So we were kind of on that spectrum. We wanted to kind of be married for a little while, have our house. We got a dog for a little bit. We were both working full time. And we had that life for a while and we loved it. But then we knew we wanted to have kids. So we just wanted to put some time in between. We wanted to enjoy being married and kind of learn the ins and outs of that, because going from dating to married is a different step. We didn't live together before we were married. So that was and there was never issues, but it's definitely like a big adjustment. You have to like give and take. You know, you have to learn just the ins and outs of the other person completely, because now you're, you know, you go from dating where you're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go home kind of a thing, to now you're, this is my home, you know. So getting through all of that together was big. And then we kind of wanted to wait a good couple years before having kids. I know at least a year. We didn't want to like have kids right away. So, and then, you know, of course, you always plan something, and then God's kind of like, yeah, you know, about your plan. So, you know, obviously it took us a little while to get pregnant, which was a huge, you know, it was difficult altogether. I'm not even going to say it was anywhere easy. But it definitely gave us a perspective about ourselves that we didn't know, you know, that we really, it was a different level of our relationship that we never really would have crossed into if we didn't have that problem. So I'm not going to say I wish it didn't happen at all, because I know everything happens, you know, for a certain reason. But I'm extremely blessed that we got over it, and we were able to have kids. And, you know, triplets, not part of our plan, but hey, it's our life. I wouldn't change it for anything. So I think it was a time, you know, we wanted to give ourselves time. And you kind of just know, I think you hit a point in the relationship too where you're like, we're kind of ready for that next. Not that you've done everything, like, oh, we're, you know, we're bored or anything, but you're just, you feel, you just know. It's like when you know you're in love with someone, you kind of just know it's time. And I think it's just like a natural thing that a couple has. So yeah, that was from Alicia, that question. Number 8. Ooh, it's an improved, more fun number 5 question. Okay, so for backtrack, number 5 says, do you have things all figured out now, or what types of advice do you still rely on from your parents? So that was number 5. So this new question says, what was the last piece of advice that you asked a family member for? Oh man, last piece of advice. I don't know, these ones are really tough because I don't ever think I'll have it all figured out. I don't think anyone can confidently say that. I don't know, I guess I've never said that in my life. Maybe people do feel that kind of confidence where they're like, yeah, I'm all figured out, I'm fine. I know I'm always learning something. I'm the person, you know, you kind of fail to figure it out. And I'm not saying I'm going to touch the fire when it's hot, but like I'm not afraid to fail. I know I'm going to fail. That's kind of what it is. So I'll never really say that I'll have it figured out, because everything always changes all the time. Last advice. I don't know. I guess I'm always just asking about, I always ask about like different baby/toddler like transition phases. Like you go from crawling to walking, like when does that phase happen? Or like right now, all of our kids they're 17 months, so they're all walking/running everywhere they go. So I'm like, okay, when does the phase start when kids stop like touching everything and putting everything in their mouth? Like, because I feel like that's never going to end. I'm always asking my mom like those random questions, and it's, I don't even know if she ever really has a defined answer, because when you're living through it, you know, you remember, but after you go through it, there's so many different things that happen, so it's so hard to keep track of all these like little milestone moments. So yeah, I think advice, it's not really advice though. I'm like refuting my own question. I don't know. I guess just how to navigate through parenthood smoothly. I'm always asking like my mom or like my mother-in-law, or like, what did you do in this situation? What did you do in this? Not so much like about the kids, but like advice for me. How should I handle the situation appropriately? Because there's different ways that you can approach these kid milestones that other parents take. So I appreciate getting it from family that I know that has gone through it, that I trust, So I think, yeah, I think I would have to say that's my last piece of advice, because that happens a lot. I'm always kind of like prying somebody for information about like any advice, something random. But you know, there's just so much for that. I feel like I could do a whole episode on that question. So yeah, so that was from Lauren B. Number 9. Let's see. If you and Vince had to compare yourselves to a TV/movie parents, oh my gosh, who would it be? I've thought about this a lot, and it sounds kind of like weird that I would think about this a lot. And I can never really like land on, an exact match of TV/movie parents. I always want to say Everybody Loves Raymond, because I love that show, and I feel like the mom and dad in that show are exactly Vince and I, like our personalities and everything. But it's so like lame, not lame. Like everybody loves that show. If you say you don't like Everybody Loves Raymond, you're lying, because it's just comforting. But like, that's probably my best answer. I want it to be something cool. Like, I don't know. I don't think parents are really cool anyways. So maybe that is my best answer. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go Everybody Loves Raymond. And that question was from Stacy. Okay, number 10. I'm blowing through these questions. What big life event or time in their lives are you most looking forward to watching the triplets experience together? And then there's a follow-up question, least looking forward to. So most looking forward to, I'm probably most looking forward to like dinners together where we're all sitting at the table and we're eating something, everybody's having like good conversation, or like movie nights with like the 3 kids and Vince and I, and we're all sitting on the couch, like a big blanket, full of popcorn. It's like, like a crisp fall night. You have like a fuzzy blankie and you're like watching like, I don't know, the next Disney movie, or like going on vacations together. Like their first time at Disney World is going to be like, I can't even explain how excited I am for that. But trips like that, just like, I don't know, it's almost big life. See, that's the thing, I'm getting lost. Those are kind of like little life things. Prom obviously is going to be like so cute and awesome. Their weddings, it's going to be like, how am I not going to cry the whole time? Graduations, big deal. All the good stuff. I'm excited for all of it, but I don't want to rush it either, because time goes by so fast already. They're already like almost 18 months. I'm like, holy crap, I feel like they were just born yesterday. So yeah, all of it. I think most looking forward to all of it, everything. All the above that. Least looking forward to. So I was thinking about this lately too. I'm least looking forward to when they learn about like sharing and like toys, because they kind of steal toys from each other now, but when they really get into it and like they're very defensive of their toys, it's gonna be bad. I know it's gonna be bad, and that's something pretty soon that I'm already kind of like, man, I am not looking forward to that stage of life when they're kind of like constantly fighting over stuff. Yeah, and just teenage life. Oh gosh, teenagers are horrible. Like, they don't even mean it. They don't mean it. They don't know. Like, you're just trying to be cool, and you're just not. And you think you are, but you're mean, and you don't know. So you just have to get through that awkward phase of life. So yeah. And then driving. Yeah, with 3 all the same age, driving is terrifying. I can't even imagine what our driveway is going to be with all the cars, but yeah, that's going to be crazy. And then like breakups and boyfriends and girlfriends and all the drama. I do like the drama, but man, I know I'm going to get annoyed of the drama. So yeah, I don't think there's anything like, I don't know if this is necessarily different for multiples or not. I'm trying to think, like, I can't think of any big life event that would be, that would like differentiate this question after having triplets. I feel like it's all pretty similar to somebody that has a singleton or a twin. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, because I think you're excited for everything great. I mean, I can't think of anything. I guess my biggest thing is I think it's awesome that they're going to all go through it at the same time. Like when we go to Disney for the first time, it's going to be like everybody's the same age. Everybody can go on the rides. Like everybody can do everything. Like we don't have to say, oh, remember we went to Disney and you were this little or you were this big. Like everybody will kind of have that same like equal playing field. So that's kind of exciting. I think I'm out of questions. I think that was my 10. And that question was from Stacy as well. So I hope I answered all those questions decently enough. I feel like I did. I went back and forth a little bit, but yeah. All right. And we're back.
Awesome.
Times 3. Okay.
Times 3. And we're back. I'm back. Okay. So I would say that question number 6, I feel like we just kind of both said the same thing.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I was like, wow, did he like cheat and hear what I said? Because it was like the same thing. But that means that we're on the same track.
We're on the same track. We're on the same page.
So that's kind of good to know.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, wow, he feels exactly. Not that like I thought we had different parenting styles, but just kind of hearing your take on that, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how I feel.
I mean, as of right now, there really hasn't been anything where, you're like, I want to do this with the kids, and I'm like, nope. Or I go, I'm going to do this with the kids, and you're thinking, nope. Usually you're just like, nope. Let's say Sophia's, screaming and crying, and we know it's not because she's in pain or because she's in trouble, but because she's being needy. I'll look over, I'm like, oh, she's crying or whatever. And you're like, she has to learn that she can't be picked up all the time. And I'm like, okay. And then I just don't pick her up. And then eventually she calms herself down, and then she finds a toy or something to play with, and then she's fine. So
you start to learn, like the cries that they have. It's not that we're not saying we're neglecting them at all. We're just saying that we're understanding their cues of hurt versus, I'm just being like super attention-y, or like I'm trying to get your attention in the wrong way. So we're trying not to reward that behavior by picking them up all the time and like basically reinforcing that this is how I get attention, is to cry. So.
Yeah, and since you're spending more time with them, you're getting a better idea. So when that happens, if I'm coming down from work, what's all the commotion? I see her, she's crying or whatever. You're like, we're not picking her up because we have
tough,
to teach
but
her.
it does work. It's a lot of like practice, trial and error. It's a lot of, getting her used to that. But yeah. Yeah,
but I mean, it works out great, and we're both on the same page for that.
And I think you kind of talked about helicopter parents.
Yeah.
And I really, I've seen that in parents, and I see it, you see it everywhere, obviously. And I just,
singletons.
Even
it's
before
those firstborn singletons. That's the one that's the most helicopter, because they're like, we don't know what to do. It's just one. Whereas we got 3, and we're just like, they're just gonna have to figure it out. But continue.
It's not even necessarily that. I don't want to be that. Okay. I want my kids to come to me. Like, I want them to want to come to talk to me. I don't want them to be like, oh, I don't want to talk to my parents. Because I always feel like helicopter parents have this, like, stigma where they're just too, like, they're always in your business and everything. So kids, like, hide stuff from them. And they're, like, they just baby them to the point where they're not learning anything. And I always just, like, really didn't like how that looked on people. And I just thought that was such, like, a really bad way to, like, kind of teach this lesson to your kids. Like, that's not... I don't know. So I just really was always against that. So it was kind of good to hear you mention helicopter parent, because I can't get on page with that.
Yeah, no, that's kind of a good point. Not only is it making your kid less independent, but it's also probably making them want to like sneak and hide more stuff, because if you're always in their business, always, blah, 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 we got to get in your life. Yeah, they want that breath of fresh air. Like, there's that craving of like, I just kind of want to do this by myself. And and I think it's safe to say that as much as we love telling people what to do, we want to tell people what to do. At the end of the day, a lot of people just have to, including myself, you just have to experience something and then you learn by it.
Right.
So someone could tell you this over and over and over and over and over again, but it really doesn't cement into your brain until you actually are in the situation, you actually experience it, and you actually,
Right.
figure it out. So that's what I kind of want my kids to do, because I don't want to be the person that's just always nagging on them, telling them, oh, you got to do this, 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 even though I'm always tempted to. But just so that way they can kind of
But
do
it
whatever.
needs, I think going back to what we had individually said was we want to have kind of a median. So we want to be in the middle of this. We don't want to be so helicopter parent that we're controlling everything they do, and we don't want to be too lenient that they just don't even respect us at all. And I feel like that's what every parent really wants, is to be somewhere in that really nice middle, like, sweet spot. So yeah, I think we're both on the same page there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Question 7. So I feel like I need to do some clarification. Why? Well, I mean, when I listened to you, you were like, yeah, we didn't really want to have kids right away, and we weren't sure. We were waiting a couple years, and then it turned into more years because we were trying to have kids. Whereas I was like, if you don't want to have kids right now, don't get married.
Oh.
So I want to clarify that.
Well, actually, I kind of liked where you took it, because you were like, listen, if you get married, like, you should just be open. You should be open to kids.
Mm-hmm. But more importantly, that discussion should be established. Maybe you don't have a
and I feel bad that I didn't
date.
mention that we were always open to it. Like, I should have started saying, like, we were always open to it, but we had a plan that we did want to wait. We wanted to kind of enjoy being married. We weren't looking to have kids right away. But if it were to happen, like, it wasn't the end of, like, we would have been super excited. It just,
Yeah. And part of me almost wanted that to happen. I wanted to be like, what a big surprise. I mean, we were, it's not like we weren't trying, but still we have a kid. But it ended up for us being much more intensive and harder to accomplish. But luckily we were blessed and able to do that. And then the big surprise was triplets.
But I think the most important part about that, like, when to know if you're ready to have kids or not, like, if you're listening and you're just, like, you and your partner, you're just still, like, uneasy, I think the most important thing I would have to say is you just have to both be on the same page. I think if one of you is really ready to have kids and the other one is just not sure, I don't think the answer is to have kids. I think you really both have to be under the complete understanding that you're going to have kids, you're going to be parents, your life is going to change, and you can't put that on somebody. You can't say, oh, well, you wanted kids and I didn't want kids. I feel like it would just really start, it's like hard enough parenting when you both want kids. Like, I can't even imagine if, like, one person didn't want kids and the other one did. Like, it would just be such an
You hear about these
awkward
stories all the
dynamic.
time, and that's what ends marriages. Or the person does get a kid and the other person just kind of is like, you're the parent. You wanted this, I don't, and they're just kind of absent, and that affects the child as well. I mean,
and it could be frustrating too if you're both not on the same page. But I really strongly believe that everything happens for a reason. So if there is something happening where you and your partner aren't seeing eye to eye, you have, like, different opinions on things, it might not be the right time, and that's hard. But because it, like I had mentioned in mine, I feel like it's like when you fall in love, you just know. You know what I mean? I don't think there's like a 2 + 2 is 4. Like, we knew, May 12th at 8:15 p.m. that we wanted kids. Like, I don't think it's that simple. I think you have to, like, I don't know, you just have to be ready as a person. And you both have to understand that your life is going to change. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like you're going to look at your bank account and go, okay, we made X amount of dollars, now we can afford to have a kid.
Yeah, there's no amount of money.
There's no amount of money.
There's no amount of, like, prepare now. Okay, well, right now we're ready because, I babysat twice, and, that doesn't mean anything.
There's a joke, I believe it was in Jim Gaffigan's book about parenting, where he said, like, women just never have the right time to have kids. It's always like, you're so young. You just started your job. You're about to get that managerial position. You're a manager now. You can't have kids. And then it turns into, like, you're too old to have kids. There's never a time.
I feel
There's
that.
never a specific time where it's like, yep, have a kid right now. Everything is in place. It's just, if you want to have kids and you're open to it and your spouse is open to it as well, that's kind of when. But here's the thing that's interesting too, is the question isn't when did you know or when did you want to have kids? It's how. So that's why I went to, if like when we decided that we wanted to get married, when you said yes, when I proposed, that was kind of the moment when we knew
that's
we
true.
were going to have kids because we talked about it. And also, like, that's part of the discussion. And one thing, just to kind of throw an extra rant in here, is a lot of people that are newlyweds, they probably feel this really bad, or people that have been married for a long time that don't have kids. It's like everyone is always asking you, so when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? And you're either like struggling and you're having a hard time, or you don't want kids, or whatever it is. But it's like there's never been a time where someone's walked up to you, married couple, and said, "Hey, when are you guys going to have kids?" And you guys went, "Oh, I didn't think about that. We could have kids right now."
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. So these people just got to stop talking, obviously. But it's just, that's a big part of when you're getting married, of like, okay, do we want to have kids? And I don't think changing another person's mind necessarily works. I think you both have to be on somewhat of a page. Like, you knew you wanted to have kids, but maybe you weren't expecting to have kids, the second we got married on our honeymoon.
Right.
Or maybe you were thinking, well, maybe after a couple of years or a year or so. But at the end of the day, we both knew we wanted to have kids. So that's how we knew. Because we were going to get married.
Hand,
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I think I want to say one last thing. I think coming from somebody that had trouble conceiving and getting pregnant, and having people kind of ask you, and I really didn't have that many people ask me. I felt more pressures around me, like a lot of people that I knew were having kids. I felt like I went to so many baby showers when I was trying to get pregnant. I felt like you feel like everybody's pregnant around you, and you just feel like this like big pile of failure. But I think one thing I would say is to never really ask someone, "Hey, do you plan on having kids?" I would probably wait and see if they talk about it first. Like, maybe there's another way to, formulate that question that doesn't come off quite like that. Because I feel like if people want to talk about it, they're going to bring it up to you. And if people don't really feel comfortable talking about that with certain people, they won't talk about it. So I think the best way to do is just wait for them to approach you with that information.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
And if you feel like you have to ask, maybe the question is, would you like to have kids one day?
Yeah.
Would you guys like to have kids today? Not when. Would you like to have kids one day? But even then, it's kind of like, mind your own business.
It's kind of a personal thing to me. I feel like if someone really wants to talk about it, they'll talk about it. And that's the way I handled it when we were going through problems, is I kind of shut everybody out, and I just dealt with it with Vince. And people are, I got a lot of like, "Why didn't you tell us?" And "Why didn't you, whatever," like after everything came out. And it's like, it really doesn't affect anybody else but us. And I just really wanted to deal with it between our marriage, versus kind of pulling everybody else in the world into it and turning it into, I didn't have answers, and nobody else does. It's this, thing between me and the doctors and Vince. So that was my personal opinion, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And some people want that support, and that's great. But yeah.
But yeah, I guess just think about
it
before you ask, because it could be something that is touchy to certain people. So
yeah. I would just say mind people's own business. But I thought that was a good question, though. I just wanted to make sure that.
I know, yeah, I heard yours, and I was like, "Ooh, did I answer that right?"
Yeah, well, I heard yours, and I was like, "Ooh, did I not answer that right?" Because
I think it played off.
It sounded pretty aggressive.
That was fine.
Okay, so now, what is the last piece of advice that you asked a family member?
These are really tricky for me to answer.
Yeah.
I get advice all day. I
think you were onto something, though. I mean, because you do well. You'll ask your mom, or you'll ask my mom. You'll ask mothers in general. When did you'd ask, like, when did I start walking, or when did I start doing this? Just to kind of get a reference. I think that counts as advice in a way. Because the advice, I mean, if you had to tailor it as a question, it'd be, when should I expect my kid to do this? You should expect them roughly around this time.
I guess when I read the question, I always think of it more abstract, like it's supposed to be this much bigger thought, like advice, like, like, what is a mother? You know what I mean? Like, is it supposed to be something like, what even is life? And I'm just like, I just ask about, like, does this poop smell correctly? Like, it's nothing more...
Are you sure? That just sounds like a COVID test. Like, can I smell this?
Yeah, but
or not?
No, it's what I'm trying to say is, like, the advice like when I hear advice, I'm thinking of this like deep-rooted, deepness that like really like tears at everything you have and your emotions. And so the advice that I
you
get
read way too deep into that.
right.
You read way too much into that.
Right. And so when I talked about when I went through my discussion on how I answered the question, I just went basic. I mean, I talk about daily stuff more so than the deep-rooted stuff. So
yeah.
And
the TV movie things.
yeah.
I did figure out the name. It was Lillian and Marshall.
I think it's just Lily. I don't think it's Lillian.
It's probably Lillian.
I think it's Lily.
I don't know. It's probably Lily. Who knows? I don't know. I couldn't think as much of a thing because like
I was trying to think of like a cool.
What's like
we're
the cool
not cool,
parents?
so it's like
We're kind of cool.
everybody loves Raymond's perfect.
It is.
And if anybody has a problem with that, you're wrong. Like that's what I'm gonna say.
It's in the name of the show. Everybody loves Raymond.
He's Italian. They have twins.
Oh yeah, they do.
I don't know. I mean, it's just no, I'm just kidding.
He has 2 boys and a girl. We have 2 girls and a boy.
So I mean, it's exact. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, big life event. I liked where you went with yours.
Yeah.
I just like where I went with mine better.
Oh, well, then there's that. Yeah,
So
the school, that was funny with the homework. I didn't even really, I mean,
Oh my
I kind of
gosh.
thought about homework, but I'm like, well, I think maybe one or two of them are going to be like decently smart to where we're going to be like, oh, you got it. And then like, hopefully there's like only 2 of them need help because like 3 of them need help.
Yeah, I mean the
I don't know
problem
what
is
we're
though
gonna
is
do.
that when the smart one does need help, we're
I'm
gonna
gonna
be doomed because it's
clone
gonna be
myself.
like intense quadratic formula stuff. I don't know. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's all I can tell you.
All I'm saying is I can't do math.
Yeah, I know. So it's
I
gonna be just
mean-
me doing all the math.
We're good with art stuff. I can drop it. We're good
Yeah.
with art tests.
But usually the kids do their own art.
I know.
So you're useless.
I'm a waste of time.
You're a waste. You just have to make sure that the kids turn in their homework or something. I don't know.
No, but scariest stuff. I guess here's the thing. It's this question's great, but it's not very multiples related because it doesn't really change. With
Well,
the
I think
multiples
like
too
getting
much.
like driving and all that stuff, weddings, things that are expensive. Like you're looking forward to those things, but you're also worried. Like, oh my gosh, all 3 kids.
I see.
are
I
gonna
was
try
just
to go to
looking at it
college.
like I'm like not so much from a money standpoint, but from like I'm excited for it or I'm not excited for it.
Yeah.
That to me.
Well, you're not excited to spend a lot of money.
No,
so
I know.
There you go. There's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and teenagers are lame, but I think it'll be funny.
I do too.
To be honest, because I was such like a cringy teenager.
And like, are they all going to be in the same friend group?
Oh, I hope not.
Like,
I
are
hope,
they all
I hope
gonna
they're
be in
different.
separate
I hope
friend
they're in
groups?
different gangs, and then they
Yeah.
attack or
It's
something.
like a triplet gang. I don't know.
No, yeah, because I almost don't want them to all be like, oh yeah, it's us 3 and then we're with a group, because then that's kind of weird. They're like a bundle pack thing. I want them to be like, yeah, Vince hangs out with his boys, Shar hangs out with these ladies, and then Sophia hangs out with these girls, and like they all get along, but they got their own crew. That's how I would.
Yeah.
That's what I would assess.
yeah.
It. It's not like, okay, all 3 of you're in this pack. That's why when they start school.
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about this, but we would like to get them in different classrooms. So
Yeah.
they're on their own. They're independent. They got to make their own friends. They can't just hide behind one of the other siblings.
I kind of want it to be more so what every other kid experiences when they go to school. They're kind of on their own. They
Yeah.
don't have a sibling to fall back on, because you're going to just talk to your siblings. You're going to just, I kind of want that, if it's possible, I would love for them to be separated just for that. And obviously they can hang out any other time, but just to get that experience of, experiencing that by themselves.
Definitely.
So,
And I think that's the way to end it.
yeah.
That was sweet. These were awesome. I liked the questions a lot. And then look out for part 3 coming soon.
Should we thank all the people? Let's thank everyone for questions.
Let's thank everybody for questions.
Okay, we're going to go back from the first episode, too. So we're going to thank Noelle, Stacy with an I, Julie, Lauren B, Joanna, Alicia, Lauren B again, and Stacy for the questions.
That's with an EY.
Yes, Stacy with an EY. Thank you so, so much for the questions. And we appreciate you being fans and wanting to hear from us because this is great.
Yeah, and keep sending. If you guys have questions, anything, give us content. Give us stuff to talk about. We love this stuff.
Yeah.
Reach out to the Persichetti.triplets Instagram.
Yeah.
Definitely reach out to that. That's where a lot of the content is. That's where a lot of our stuff is. You can see the pictures and videos and all that fun stuff. That's where I would say everybody should go. This podcast should be kind of a way to kind of complement that Instagram. But
if you ever have any like personal questions that you want to ask me or curious about something with the triplets or whatever, like feel free to like direct message me on Instagram. I'll definitely respond whenever I get a chance. But I always love helping, any mom that kind of is looking for advice or anything. So, because I really appreciate it when I reach out to other moms on Instagram. So I would love to kind of give back when I can.
And I'll say this: if you find if you're getting a bunch of the same question, or if you're getting questions that you think might be a good thing to talk about on here, let's definitely do it. We won't mention the names. It'll be anonymous. But if it's a question that's broad enough to where we could say, hey, this might be, a lot of moms are talking about this, or a lot of dads, or a lot of people are asking us about this, let's bring it up on a podcast. We could definitely do that for the show.
For sure.
So, but for now, we'll see you later.
Cool. Bye.